Well, so I guess at this point in the series, you can say that the Jurassic Park franchise has really fallen from grace. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel and another installment in my Jurassic Park review series, where I talk all the Jurassic Park movies in the lead up to my review of Jurassic World Dominion. And today we're talking about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it or if you were planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my content out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie related content on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This sees an island's dormant volcano begin roaring to life. So Owen and Clare, played again by Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, mount a campaign to rescue the remaining dinosaurs from this extinction level event. J.A. Bayona, who previously directed films like The Impossible and The Orphanage, takes over as director from Colin Trevorrow, who still stays on as a co-writer. And after Jurassic World was fairly well received and was seen as giving this franchise some new life, naturally, a sequel was greenlit, and it looked to do what any good sequel should be doing, and that's go bigger and bolder. With nearly all the other Jurassic Park movies primarily taking place on one island, with the exception of The Lost World, which also had that final act in San Francisco, this sees the setting expand a bit, as a lot of the dinosaurs are taken into captivity and we see them back in civilization, as our antagonists now want to use the volcano eruption as an excuse to sell the remaining dinosaurs onto the black market, which Owen and Clare attempt to stop. But this naturally leads to the dinosaurs wreaking havoc outside of the island, similar to the Lost World ending. And this time, Owen and Clare are the only two main characters from the first movie returning in main roles here, with them now joined instead by Justice Smith and Daniel Pineda as two members of this dinosaur protection group that Claire runs, and everyone else they encounter is also new, like James Cromwell as John Hammond's former partner, Rafe Spall as his assistant, and Ted Levine as a mercenary who's hired by Spall. So, some similarities there with The Lost World again, as these are a lot of the same character tropes from that movie. Though we also get B.D. Wong returning in a small part as Henry Wu, as well as Jeff Goldblum also appearing at the beginning and end of the movie, reprising his role as Ian Malcolm in these bookending Senate hearing sequences where he discusses the ethics of cloning dinosaurs and whether or not they should let nature take its course. And I want to revisit those scenes in a bit. But let's begin with what worked about this movie. It's tonally consistent with the first Jurassic World, which I appreciated, and it feels like the action is cranked up here. Like I said in previous reviews, if all you care about at this point with the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies is just seeing dinosaurs wreak havoc for 90 minutes to 2 hours, then you should be happy with this, and really most of these movies, as there's no short supply of any of those moments here. We get plenty of heightened, action-packed moments of dinosaurs causing destruction or our heroes fighting the human antagonists, and there's all this destruction and chaos, and it's all grand in scale, and it all looks great, and so on and so forth. And we get yet another genetically modified dinosaur, like the last movie. In Jurassic World, it was the Indominus Rex, and now it's the Indoraptor, and it causes all sorts of damage, and our heroes have to find a way to stop it. And if you just don't care about anything else, and you want to shut your mind off to an action movie that also happens to have dinosaurs going at it, then you should be satisfied enough with this. And at times, this can be sporadically entertaining. It all looks good for what it is, and it makes for some popcorn entertainment similar to the last movie. So if you like Jurassic World, as in you legitimately liked it and thought it was one of the best sequels, not that you just thought it was okay, then you might like this for what it is as well. But in an issue similar to Jurassic World, when it comes to its story and its characters, once again, that's where this movie stumbles, and this time, considerably worse than what we've seen in any of the other movies in this franchise. For one thing, I still stand by that Owen and Clare are two of the blandest protagonists we've ever gotten in this franchise. And here, it's still all very one-note stuff with them. Owen is the exact same person as he was in the first movie. He's very in tune with the dinosaurs, he understands them, and his whole thing is that he just wants to save them, and there's really not much else to him otherwise. And Claire is still a workaholic, though maybe a more compassionate workaholic now. Now, she's gone from being part of this greedy conglomerate to working tirelessly at also wanting to save the dinosaurs. And let's talk about this plot point more. This need to save the dinosaurs as the emotional backbone of the movie. I don't quite understand it. Well, I mean, I do. I get that it's part of Owen's character that he's so in sync with the dinosaurs and he wants to do what he can to protect them, in particular the raptors. And I get that part of why we're on this journey is along the way we find out these villainous characters are trying to exploit the dinosaurs, and it kind of sort of gets into this whole notion of man not interfering with nature. But as far as the dinosaurs being saved being the right thing to do, like even before we get this black market subplot and it's just about a volcano erupting, it just doesn't make sense to me that that's our huge emotional core of the movie. I get that it's a character trait of our protagonist, but as the backbone of this movie and where our sympathies are supposed to lie, being with this notion that the rest of the dinosaurs are on the verge of extinction and our characters want to stop that, it just doesn't work for me. Essentially because this is the antithesis of what the original movie and essentially this entire franchise is founded upon. Michael Crichton's original novel, as well as the first movie, touched upon themes of not playing God and how we interfere with nature. The whole lesson that was to be learned by the end of the movie was that what John Hammond did was wrong and that nature needs to recorrect itself. And we get 3 other movies afterwards where that proved it over and over and over again, that that's the case. 2 times with returning characters who went to a new island almost unwillingly, and then in this previous movie, it was about a new set of characters learning that same lesson. Even though Hammond's vision was eventually realized, it was still wrong and carnage ensued. And then you even have Malcolm again driving that point across in that opening Senate scene, where he says that the volcano eruption should occur as intended so it can undo the damage caused by Hammond. He's bringing up those same ideas that were brought up in previous movies, but then we spend 2 hours essentially contradicting that idea. I just don't understand how we go through 4 movies where the whole moral lesson is that this idea of Jurassic Park or world is wrong, and then this movie is saying, no, actually this time the right thing is that we save them. Now, as I said earlier, I know with this introduction of the Indoraptor, which is a man-made new thing that wreaks havoc, and with the idea of the other dinosaurs being taken captive, it's supposed to kind of sort of speak to those ideas of man not interfering with nature. But the thing is, the fact that these characters are where they are now and this universe is the way it is due to that very notion of man interfering with nature. Like, we already got that lesson, and here it just never looks to explore why our sympathy should lie with the thing we were supposed to not like. Like, the film never cares to dive deeper into the fact that they all got to where they are because of that same interference. It's all just this one-note idea of, well, they should be saved just because. Like, it's not even that you have side characters saying that and our protagonists say otherwise, and it creates this point of contention. Like I said, we're supposed to be sympathetic to this. And then it even has Malcolm backtracking what he was saying earlier when we see him in a new hearing at the very end of the movie, now saying dinosaurs and humans must learn to coexist, despite the fact he's been harping on the exact opposite for years. And why? Well, we never got an explanation. So the idea that this particular story is founded on and the way it keeps harping on it in such a heavy-handed way is one of the primary things that just makes this movie a little aggravating, just from a logic standpoint, as it contradicts essentially every other movie before it. So that alone rubbed me the wrong way about this. And then as far as everything else, like I said earlier, it's a lot of the same issues that just plague Jurassic World, just now cranked up. There's a lot of wooden, clunky dialogue all throughout this, with characters essentially having one personality trait that gets put on repeat. And while in Jurassic World there were at least some entertaining enough supporting characters to make up for just how bland both Owen and Clare are, I couldn't think of anyone I particularly cared for here. I can barely count Malcolm, as he's only in the movie for one scene at the very beginning and one scene at the very end, and he's otherwise disconnected from the rest of the events. And then Danielle Pineda as one of the Dino Preserve workers is fine, but she's sidelined for most of the movie, so she only gets to do so much. And then Justice Smith is outright aggravating. I don't want to pick on him or anything, and I'm attributing this partially to the writing and the direction given, but his character, who of the 2 Dino Preserve employees is the one we see more of, he has this very whiny personality and he overreacts to everything. Yet he's supposed to be this likable comedic relief filling the void left by the control room employees from Jurassic World. But everything from the lines given to him to the delivery just did not work. I did not particularly care for his performance, and I found this character grating, to be quite honest, and that was another big reason that this rubbed me the wrong way. And then this storyline involving James Cromwell's character as this Hammond-esque figure was also one that ultimately felt like it really went nowhere, at least nowhere meaningful. We find out that he and Hammond used to be partners, and he has a granddaughter, and he also wants to save the dinosaurs, but Rafe Spall, his assistant, turns on him and sells them to the black market. But he ultimately serves little purpose to the story. It's really only a way to set up the antagonist, as he gets killed off once he confronts Rafe Spall about the black market stuff. And even before that, the only other major reveal we get out of him is that his granddaughter isn't actually his granddaughter, but actually a clone of his deceased daughter. And then Hammond, the man who made a whole theme park of clone dinosaurs, was so horrified by this, and he ended their association. And again, if this was meant to be some sort of statement on the ethics of cloning, it really doesn't have much insight to offer there, outside of that Hammond was a hypocrite for getting mad over this. And it's kind of a bizarre plot point to bring up, especially with such an intense focus on a character who proves to be fairly inconsequential to the storyline. Like, besides finding out who the true villain really is, the granddaughter doesn't really do anything integral to the story, kind of just being there, along with Owen and Clare and everyone else. And the film treats this line of dialogue about the granddaughter like this huge revelation for like a second, and then it moves off it quickly and never really looks to explore the whole ethics of cloning idea any further. So I just don't understand what the film was ultimately looking to get at with any of this stuff. Ultimately, it just felt mindless and a true far cry from the weightier themes once explored in the original. And I don't mind mindless popcorn entertainment fun, but this really did not feel fun for the most part. It just felt emotionally hollow, and whatever philosophical offerings it was slightly touching upon, it felt like it really only scratched the surface, so it really made this an unsatisfying experience. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is honestly frustrating. Now, if you're into these movies simply for dinosaurs wreaking havoc and causing destruction and literally nothing more, then I think you'll be satisfied with this, as that's in no short supply here. However, for all of those scenes that we got, we're also subjected to just as many, if not more, scenes that consist of poor acting, wooden dialogue, and repetitive character beats that undermine any emotional weight we're supposed to feel. The film also often undermines the themes of the original Jurassic Park, as all of our sympathies are supposed to lie with the fact that the destructive dinos are about to go extinct again, even though we spent 4 movies essentially hammering home the point that they shouldn't be around to begin with. And whenever it does kind of look to explore anything meaningful, it feels very lazy and surface level, and it never cares to elaborate why it's contradicting everything the original movie was founded on. I really did not care for this movie. It's not outright horrible, but to me, this is a far cry from the magic we once got in the original movie. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom gets a 4.5 out of 10. Just as bland and hollow as anything. It's entertaining at times, but this is just another one I really hope to not revisit anytime soon. But that's it. So stay tuned, as up next will be my review of the newest film, Jurassic World Dominion. And in the meantime, let me know, did you see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you find this to be fun, or do you not particularly care for this one? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.